What up, guys? Welcome back. So today, a little different video. We're talking about two phones that I absolutely love, but I need your help. So drop some comments throughout this video and let me know your thoughts on what phone I should keep. I can only keep one, the S23 Ultra. This is the 512 gigabyte graphite version, and the Fold 4, also 512 gigabyte version. So when it comes to how much storage we have, we're dead even, and I just need your help. So drop some comments throughout this video. Whenever you stop watching the video, drop a comment, let me know what you think I should keep, because I can only keep one. Now, I did trade in the Fold 4 for the S23 Ultra at launch. They only gave me $750, and if they would have given me $100 or $1,000, I don't think I'd be having this video or making this video right now. I would just probably trade in the Fold 4 and keep the S23 Ultra, but they didn't. They didn't give me enough for a device that I paid $1,800 for. So on top of that, I have come to love the Fold 4. Now, it's not perfect, and there are a lot of things that I don't like about it, but we're going to talk about it. But I did force myself to use it as my daily for months, and I fell in love with the device. So we're going to talk about what I love about it, what I hate about it, and the same goes for the S23 Ultra. Now, we're just going to start. But if you're new to the channel, guys, hit that like, drop a sub. But this video is for you guys because I need your help, and I'm going to post a poll on Twitter. And whatever you guys decide, that's what I'm going to do. So the S23 Ultra, let's talk about design first. Whether you love it or hate it, that they gave us the same design on the S22 Ultra, the S23 Ultra for me is an absolutely beautiful device. I like how clean it is. I like how simple it is. The graphite color that you see here is one of my favorite colors. I kind of wish I had the green phone, but I would have had to wait longer to get that phone in. So I did go with the graphite, but I do really like how this looks. And this is just the black Fold 4. You know, no different than the Phantom Black they would get on a lot of their phones. But I do have the Pataka case on it because that's how I roll. But, you know, look, the folding phones, they're great. It's fun to use every day. Every time you open it, every time you close it, even using the front display, which this is one of, the things I hate about this device. I have gotten used to it a little more, and I won't text on the front device. I'll try to, but I mess up all the time. But I will use this to open Twitter and check Twitter out. I'll use it to, talk on the phone, of course, and just check some other apps. But when I really want to text somebody, open up the phone, watch YouTube, I mean, you have that display compared to the slab, the phone and the display and the flat slab that we've been using for years and years and years. Your typical phone, which is still great, right? It's still fantastic, but it is just a totally different experience when using the Fold over the S23 Ultra. So for me, and this is, I'm gonna kind of give points here for each category that we're doing. So the first category is the build on here. And I'm not really sure which one I like better, but I have more fun using the Fold 4. They're both built very well. A lot of people on the Fold, you can see that crease in here. But let me tell you, if you have not used a folding device before, that crease in the middle is not going to be an issue at all, at least for 99% of the people. There might be 1% of the people that have a problem with that crease, but you get so used to it, you don't even notice it. Whenever I watch content on this device, I don't notice the crease at all. It just kind of blurs away. Think of the iPhone and the notch, right? A lot of people that use iPhones, and I'm one of them, that notch will you don't notice it after a while. It doesn't bother you. And the same thing with Dynamic Island. For me, it's an eyesore, but you can still use the device without any problems. And that's how I feel about the crease on this device. It just goes away. There are some new folding phones now that have, an invisible crease. So it is coming and it is going to improve. And when it does, I am here for it. But the first round, when it comes to build quality and just overall usage of the device, I'm leaning towards the Fold 4. Now, I'm not going to get into specs, right? I'm not going to go over all that. There's a ton of videos on YouTube about specs on both of these devices. Now, when it comes to how powerful these devices are, look, the S23 Ultra is the newer phone, so it does have better internals. It is more of a powerhouse when it comes to these two devices, but that does not mean that the Fold 4 is not capable of doing anything and everything that you want it to do, because it will. Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 on the Fold 4 versus Gen 2 on the S23 Ultra. And for me, both of these are just fine using, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm not a big gamer on my phone, but you can game on both of these. More powerful and better gaming experience on the S23 Ultra, but that's for performance. For the display, I'm going to want to do it on the Fold 4. So, pick what you want, but the experience will be very similar on both, except for the size of that display. Now, speaking of displays, the S23 Ultra has a better display than the Fold 4. Saying that, the S23 Ultra is probably the best display I've seen personally on a phone. There might be better displays out there on some phones overseas. I have not seen them. So out of all the phones that I've ever used, the S22 Ultra and the S23 Ultra, same display on both, have the best displays I have ever seen on a phone. But there's another but here. This is where we get into the size of this display and just consuming content on a device like the Fold 4. I'm sorry, it's just on another level. It just is. I love opening this up and watching content. And it's still that 120 hertz on both of these. So it's fluid and smooth on both of these. But watching and consuming content on here, for me, is a better experience on the Fold 4. Not that it's bad watching content on something like this device, but you can see just side by side the difference in the screens here. Let me see if I can get the same apps open on both. Come on. Let's see if it pulls it up. So we have it here. So just watching the same video. Now, of course, we can turn this and we'll get that, but we can also turn this and we get that. So which one is a better experience for you? Which one would you rather watch? This display is a little brighter. It is a little crisper, but at the same time, this is fantastic. And you're not going to have any issues watching it. Now, speakers on here, the S23 Ultra and the Fold 4 have very similar speakers. We'll turn it up a little bit. It's hard to hear over YouTube. And we'll just go back and forth. That's the Fold 4. S23 Ultra. I think the S23 Ultra is a little louder, but that's all treble. It's all highs. It's all vocals and things like that. But either way, you can't go wrong. Still very good speakers on both of these devices. And look, again, I'm just trying to decide what is best for me. But I do want to know what you guys would prefer in the comment section, because it will make a difference for me in making my decision on what fold or what phone I'm going to use. But watching content on here, I do prefer the experience I get on the Fold 4 over the S23 Ultra. So far, right? The S23 is a more powerful phone, but this phone here, the Fold 4, is only 7, 6, 7, 8 months old right now. So a very capable phone, and it will be a very powerful phone for the next few years, and you're not going to have any issues. Now, as far as, using these phones on a day in and day out basis, again, the Fold 4, this front display, if you follow me, I've talked about this many times in videos from the Fold 2 and the Fold 3 and the Fold 4, and in live streams, this front display for me needs to be wider. I want this, when folded like it is here, I want it to be as wide as what we have here on the S23 Ultra. This is what I want my folding device to be. And there are folding phones out there overseas that do give us this type of front display folded, and it looks amazing. Now, I have yet to ever use one, but when that does come, you better believe that will be my daily driver. So this for me is still too small of a front display, but when it's open, it's just on a whole different level compared to anything else I have ever used. Now, battery life on these devices, both are good. The S23 Ultra just happens to be better, and it's not even close. The S23 Ultra has one of the best batteries on a device out there. There are tons and tons of videos on YouTube about what is best when it comes to what phone, whether it's the iPhone 14 Pro Max or the 13 Pro Max or the S23 Ultra or some other devices, but the S23 Ultra is neck and neck at the top with some of the best. The Fold 4, it's not even close when it comes to battery life. Can I get through a day with the Fold 4? Most of the time I can. There are some days where I do have to charge this device up, but when we're comparing it to some of the other Folds, the earlier models, the battery life is much, much better on the Fold 4 compared to what we had on the Fold 2 and the Fold 3. Not really a different phone from the Fold 3, but battery life is much better on the Fold 4 than what we had on the Fold 3. So battery life and just being able to use this without charging it up a lot, that win will go to the S23 Ultra. Now let's talk about videos and photos on these phones. Hands down, and I mean hands down, the S23 Ultra. And I do have a video coming with some photo samples, just all about photo and video on this device. But hands down, the S23 Ultra walks away in a landslide when it comes to the quality of photo and video that we get out of these two devices side by side. So video quality right now, the S23 Ultra, the best Samsung has ever given us on a device. This will finally compete with iPhones when it comes to video quality, and in some cases, it will beat the iPhone in video quality. The Fold 4, photos and video they're good, they're not great. And that's where I'm going to leave it. They're not that great. They're adequate. You can get some good photos, but some of the photos you're going to take on a device like this, they're not all going to be that great. Some of them might be a little grainy. Some of them might be a little noisy, depending on how much light you have in the room. Low light photos are nowhere near as good as what we get on the S23 Ultra. And video quality, it's good on the Fold 4. Don't get me wrong. It's fantastic on the S23 Ultra. Same with portrait mode. Portrait mode on the Fold 4 is good. The S23 Ultra is on a whole different level. They really stepped it up this year, with this device. Now, the zoom on these phones are very different. I think it's a 30 times zoom on the Fold, and we get 100 times zoom or 200 times zoom, whatever it is. We can take pictures of like Saturn and the sun and talk to aliens with our phone with this device. It's on a different level. You can get moon shots all day, even on last year's device. The photo quality is much better on the S23 Ultra. So when it comes to video and photo, which I'm a big fan of, right? That's one of the reasons I get my phones. It is better by far on the S23 Ultra. But the Fold 4, look, if you guys follow me, I was using the Nothing phone before these and recently still using the Nothing phone, and the cameras on there are just okay, but you can get away with it, right? If you're just posting on social media, if you're just taking video of like your pets or your dogs or your loved ones, the video quality coming out of most phones today are more than enough compared to what we had years ago, right? $300, $400 phones are taking really good photos and fantastic video now. These two phones are a step above by far. The Fold 4, you can get great photos and great video, but the S23 Ultra, you are going to be able to make movies with this device. If you have that skill set, you will be able to do it with the S23 Ultra. It is that good when it comes to photo and video. Now, for me personally, and I have to take this into consideration, is how long will I use a device for? And, look, I'm going to get a new phone pretty much every year. And I can see myself at some point trading in. When I traded in the S22 Ultra, I really didn't want to let it go. But as a content creator, I want to try new things, experience new things. So I had to use that to trade in for something else or sell it to get the money to buy a different phone. And that's what I did with that phone. And at some point, I would do the same with the S23 Ultra. Now, the Fold 4, I can see myself keeping a little longer because of just the fun factor of this device. This device for me is something that I would continue to use as a secondary device because of, how I play with it, how I use it, the opening and closing of it. It's more about the fun aspect of this device than it is about which phone takes better photos or which phone takes better video compared to the S23 Ultra, which is just stacked and the best of the best in this device. But let me know what you guys think. I need to know what to do. I enjoy using the Fold 4 more. The S23 Ultra is a better all-around device by far when it comes to what we get and what we have to offer. Now, remember, this has the S Pen in it, right? The S23 Ultra has the S Pen. So if you use the S Pen and you like to multitask or, do whatever with the S Pen, there's a lot of gimmicky things, I think, with the S Pen. And unfortunately, we do not have that. This phone would be so much better for me if it had an S Pen built into it, but you can buy a pen for it. It's not the same thing, not the same thing at all. I prefer the S Pen on the S23 Ultra. I don't use it that much, but I am very happy when I do pull it out and use it. Pause. But if you are using the S Pen, that might be a deal breaker for you that the Fold 4 doesn't have a pen built into it. And now I am guessing and I'm hoping, and there have been rumors that in the future we are going to get a folding device from Samsung with the S Pen built in, and hopefully that comes with the Fold 5. And there have been some leaks that the Fold 5 does look a little wider on the front when folded. So hopefully that is true, and hopefully that is coming because I'm here for it. But I need help, guys. I need you to help me. So battery life, S23 Ultra. Photos and video, S23 Ultra. All around performance, this thing is a beast. This thing is great, but it's better on the S23 Ultra. The S Pen on the S23 Ultra. The more fun phone for me is the Fold 4. It might be a little thicker, right? Well, it's a lot thicker, but putting this in my pocket is actually more comfortable than putting the S23 Ultra in my pocket. It just is. It's you can see how the difference that we have in the width of this device. And for me, that is a wider phone in my pocket is more uncomfortable than a thicker phone in my pocket. And let me know how you guys feel about that. But I need to know what to do. I'm torn between both. I know in my heart the S23 Ultra is a better device, but I also know the Fold 4 for me is a more fun and enjoyable experience. So let me know what you guys would do. The S23 Ultra beats the Fold 4 in many, many ways, except one, how much fun it is to use. And sometimes, I always say this in my live streams that tech is just toys for adults, right? All this stuff that we're reviewing and buying, or, companies sending us things to review sometimes, for me, it's just toys, right? It's toys for adults. That's what I call tech. That's what I feel like. I feel like a big kid, and that's why I do what I do here on YouTube. But sometimes I need some help, and I'm reaching out to the tech community out there. Everybody listening, let me know what you would do. Which phone would you keep, and why would you keep it? That's it, guys. I'll be back soon. Peace.